Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, that probably sounds weird, and then in that case, hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Kim, and I upload videos once a week about Lolita fashion, other J fashion kind of lifestyle videos, and I'm also filming some videos of my wedding planning process. But today I'm doing none of that because I am currently kind of low-key planning my next trip to Japan, and I wanted to do a series about Japan planning. And I did a Q&A on my Instagram where I asked, hey, what kind of questions do you guys have about Japan? I'm also doing a much larger video, which is all about how we planned our trip to Japan. We did plan a 11-day trip to Japan last year, and we planned for months, and I have a lot of really good information, tips, just going over the whole process of how we booked everything, how we decided what to do, how we got around, and even some regrets about that trip. Overall, it was a really fun trip, but I do have some regrets. If that interests you at all, please make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to this video in case you want to see more. All of that really helps me have more reach on YouTube, and it allows my videos to get recommended for other people. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. First question: how well can you get along on only English? You can get along pretty well actually in Japan. So I only learned a little bit of Japanese before I went. I wanted to make sure I could like ask for directions, read menus, stuff like that. But Japan is really good about recognizing who's a tourist and who's not, and in those events they just either send somebody to you that speaks some English, or they give you an English menu or whatever. So I think you'll be fine. There's also an app that you could download called Google Translate, and it has a camera function, so you could just literally walk around the entire city with just your phone and just hold your phone up to stuff, and then it will translate whatever it is written in Japanese to English or whatever your native language is, which is really great. We use that for some signs and stuff like that, but for the most part we were fine. I did try to learn a little bit of Japanese, and it did come in handy because not everyone in the country speaks English, and they don't always have people that can speak some English. So I've seen this most commonly at convenience stores and other stores when I was shopping. So they would ask you things to confirm the amount or things like that, and it helps if you at least know a little bit, especially around numbers and how questions are phrased. That will help you be able to kind of give some sort of answer, or you can like gesture. It's a lot of gesturing going on. Like you could just point to stuff on the menu and be like, kore kudasai. I think it's just the most respectful thing to do is just learn a little bit of Japanese, and I do have suggestions for apps that worked really well for me when I was trying to learn Japanese, and I will be happy to provide that information for you. Next question: how many closet childs did you visit? Which did you like the best? I only went to 2 closet childs, and I went to them on the same day, which was it was a thing. So I only really had like 1 full day of shopping when I went shopping with my friends, and we went to the closet child in Harajuku, and we also went to the closet child, it's the one that's on like the 3rd story. I do know that we ended up, thanks Darren, this is one of my favorite memories from our whole trip, is we wanted to go to the other closet child. It wasn't the Harajuku one, it was the other one. I don't remember where it was, but in order to get there, the fastest way was going to be to take the train. One of the stations we had to go through was Shinjuku Station, which I don't know if you guys do this. Shinjuku Station is the busiest train station in the world, and we went during rush hour at like 5:00 p.m. So, you know those videos of people that get shoved onto trains and smushed onto trains? That happened to us with all of our bags. So we're just like on the train, like holding onto the handle, and like there's a person in our armpit, and like stuff's just like smushed right here, and you just like get shoved on, and then you get shoved some more. And honestly, that was one of my favorite memories of the trip because it was like, I'm getting the true Japan experience. My favorite one was the Harajuku one. Like I said, I only went to 2, but that was my favorite one because I found a dress that I had been looking for months there. And yeah, I found a couple other items. I do want to go to the one in Yokohama though. I think it's the one in Yokohama. That's like supposed to be like the big one. And the one in Ikebukuro. So I'll make sure to hit those up on my next trip. Question number 3. What parts of Japan are you visiting? We don't know yet. We're just slowly starting to plan our trip, but we're thinking of going obviously back to Tokyo because I like to shop and I want to shop. I feel like we didn't do enough stuff in Tokyo, which I will get into my next video where I talk about how we plan our trip and how like some pitfalls there are with planning. But I don't think we spent enough time in Tokyo, and I would love to go to Sapporo and the Hokkaido region, but it really depends on the season. I think we would like to go, if we go in the winter time, we're probably for sure gonna go because they have like a big snow festival, I think. Otherwise, like, I don't know, Tokyo's on the list, and Hiroshima is now on the list as of last night. Originally it wasn't, but since we did a lot of the big things like visiting some of the big castles and like bamboo forests and stuff our last trip, we want to do more not so popular things. Even though some will argue Hiroshima's popular, I don't think most people when they go to Japan like think of Hiroshima when they go. Yeah, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, also lives in Okinawa. We would love to go to Okinawa and visit her, but I don't know if that's in the cards because when I looked at the map, I didn't realize where Okinawa was. I don't know why I thought it was closer. It's not. So we'll see. Both ends. We want to Tokyo, Hiroshima, and Hokkaido. I don't know how that's gonna work. That's a lot of traveling. I don't know if we're gonna go for the same amount of time, but we'll narrow down our list and see. We got nothing but time because we have nothing else to do. Question number 4, how are you booking things like future flights, hotels during Corona? Well, we're not booking anything. You can't book a flight right now. You can't really book hotels either. It's really hard to plan because of the uncertainty. Japan has not opened up their borders for tourists. I think you can get to Japan on very, very specific reasons. But what I'm doing to plan is I did rejoin a Facebook group called Japan Travel Planning, which I used a lot to plan our last trip for a lot of recommendations for like bars to visit and local attractions that aren't so popular. So we're using that to kind of plot out our list of things that we'd like to do and places we'd like to go. I'm just kind of looking at booking.com to kind of bookmark some hotels that look like we might stay there on our trip, depending on where we solidify where to go. So I'm just bookmarking places in the different regions. Even if we don't end up going to that region. So like Hokkaido, for instance, we're not sure if we're gonna go, but it would be good to kind of get an idea of the hotels in the area and if we want to splurge on like a nice one, for instance, and like ryokans, because we do want to stay on a ryokan next time we go because we didn't get to do that last time. So that's kind of what we're doing. I also am subscribed to the premium version of Scott's Cheap Flights, which is how I got my flights the first trip we went on to Japan for super cheap. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on like when our flight's going on sale. So that's kind of how we're planning. Other than that, we can't really do much else. I think next February, we might start looking at actual flights to figure out if we want to go at the end of the year, if we can, or next year. All right, next question. How did you plan for around jet lag? Last time I went, I had some sleepy days early on. Friend, the jet lag is no joke. And it didn't really bite me in the butt until I got back to Portland, but leaving, we were pretty good. And I did a couple of things to beat the jet lag, to beat the lag of the jets. I downloaded an app, I think it's called like Time Shifter or something, and you use it either days or weeks before your trip, and you tell it, hey, I live here and we're gonna be going here on this date, and then it does some logic, it does some math in the app to tell you, even though it's 9 a.m. your time and you're usually working this time and you're up, maybe you should turn the lights off. And it trains your body into getting used to the time clock of the place you're going to. So that really helped like a lot. It either tells you, hey, maybe you should like wind down, maybe you should just sit in a dark room and work, or maybe you should try and take a nap if you can. Don't drink coffee right now. That's a big one though. Like you can't drink caffeine during certain time periods because, you know, that's a stimulant and it's gonna like keep you up, not unless you're immune to it like me. And then another thing we did was we purposely booked a flight that would get us to Japan in the evening. So by the time we got there, we would be in Japan's like evening time, obviously. And we stayed up the whole flight, and then by the time we get there, we're just exhausted that we sleep. when it's time to sleep in Japan. So luckily our flight was delayed, so we didn't get in till like 9 o'clock at night, and we stayed up the entire flight. I am a nervous flyer, so I couldn't sleep anyway, and Anthony was watching movies the whole time and just laughing the whole time. So he wasn't going to bed either. So our flight got in at 9 p.m. We left, our first flight left at like 6 a.m. in Portland, and then we arrived at 9 p.m. in Japan the next day because we had a layover in Dallas, which was stupid. I will never do that again. But I say all that to say, we stayed up the entire trip. So we were up for almost a full day. And when we got to Japan, we were so tired that we just crashed. And then we got all the sleep we needed. And then we woke up refreshed and ready to go. So those are all the tips I can give you. Get a flight that gets in their evening time. And then if you are doing like a huge time leap difference, use an app that will help adjust your body clock a few days before you're supposed to travel. How expensive is it really for food and accommodations? Okay, so a lot of people say that Japan's really expensive, and it is to some degree, but you don't have to do everything expensively, and you also don't have to eat 7-Eleven every day for dinner. So we did a lot of research for food, and I tried to make sure that places that we really wanted to eat and get like a really nice expensive experience, we budgeted for that. So for my birthday, I wanted to eat at a Michelin rated restaurant, and so that was an expense. I think it was like close to like $100 for a full course dinner, and we budgeted for that. But everything else, like every place we went to, first of all, everything sounds good, everything smells good, everything looks good, but it's not that expensive for the food. We got the best bowl of ramen. Anthony will tell you, he's not here right now, but he'll tell you the best ramen he's ever had was in Shinjuku, and it was like $7. And it was a huge bowl for like $7. It's really not that expensive. For accommodations, I did a lot of research. I used booking.com to book all of our hotels. I did a lot of research and price matching, and I would book something and then I would notice something else was cheaper a couple blocks away, and so I'd cancel that and book this one, and I did a lot of back and forth. I don't recommend doing that, but you shop around. I think the average, hang on, let me check my spreadsheet actually. We stayed for a total of 11 nights. We paid $1,288 for the both of us. And the most expensive hotel we got was $141 a night, and that was an Airbnb, and that was the biggest place we got. It was a king size bed, it was comfortable, ton of room, great place. $141 a night, which was the most expensive one. The cheapest place we stayed was $80 a night, and that was, it wasn't a business hotel, but it's a little bit smaller. But I want to sleep comfortably. I wanted nice accommodations. I couldn't do like old furnishings and old fixtures. And I also preferred places that had some sort of nice amenities, whether it was free breakfast or it offered breakfast or it was in a nice part of town or whatever. All of the places we stayed were very nice, updated, or comfortable, and they had really good customer service. So that was more important to me than like getting a better deal, honestly, because you want to be comfortable. If you're walking 9 miles a day and you're tired, you want to be comfortable, you want to have space. You could do it, you got to put some work in to find it. And then there was one more question that was sent in a DM. Are you aiming for any specific dates or just planning a trip and doing it whenever it's safe? We're just planning our trip and doing it whenever it's safe. We can't aim for any dates because there's so much uncertainty. You don't really know when you're going to be able to go. So yeah, we're just trying to get our ducks in a row. I'm a crazy mad woman when it comes to planning. So, but like I said, we're aiming for maybe the end of 2021 or early spring 2022. So that is all of the question and answers from my Instagram. If you have any additional questions about Japan that you would love some advice on, I'm happy to answer those questions. Just leave a comment or send me a DM on Instagram. I'm not a professional or an expert in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I've only left the country one time, and it was to Japan, but I learned a lot planning for that trip, and I learned a lot going, and I'm just excited to be planning again for our next trip, and we're hoping we can make it another group trip. I didn't say this at the beginning, but if you didn't know, I did a group trip when I went to Japan. There were like 10 people in my local community that went. We all went around the same time. And then my fiance's best friend and his fiance also went to Japan, and we were able to spend some time in Kyoto. And guys, if you've never done like an international group trip, it's one of the like most amazing experiences ever, and I highly recommend it. So we don't have nothing else to do during this quarantine. We can plan trips to our heart's content. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like I said, look forward to my next Japan planning video, which is gonna be a lot more in depth. I'm gonna go over my spreadsheet, resources we used, suggestions, books, and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and leave a comment, or do all three. I appreciate all three. Why are you watching these videos and not subscribed to my channel? First of all, let's address that. Go ahead and subscribe, friend. Join the family. Come on over to Boochville, because we've got some kombucha on tap, and it is hopped huckleberry, and it's delicious. Go ahead and help me out. And stop playing around and subscribe, because I don't want to have to ask you again. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.